anyone could truly prepare me for how different self-care feels after becoming a mom. Before I had my baby, self-care to me meant spa days and long skincare routines. Before, I would spend an hour doing my skincare and winding down. Now, if I get 20 quiet minutes to myself, it feels like a literal luxury. Tonight, I thought, why not have a little chit chat with my girls about what it really looks like to have self care as a mom, especially a new mom. Let's take this makeup off and reset together. I feel like being a woman in general usually comes with the responsibility to nurture and care for others. And on top of that, being a mom, it's a no brainer that you have to care and nurture your child. And it's going to be in you regardless to do that. It's just second nature, right? Sometimes we can end up putting ourselves on the back burner because of those responsibilities, and also being the only female in the house. So you have your man, you have your child, especially with my personality, just wanting things to be perfect. It's like very overwhelming. It can really take away from the necessity that used to be to take care of yourself when you're always pouring into others. But when do we say to ourselves, I have to put myself first? Because if I'm not doing what self-care means to me, how can I care for anyone? We get lost in those roles of wanting to be the best mom, wanting to be the best woman for our partner, but we have to show up for ourselves. Sometimes I don't even realize that I'm doing it to myself. And of course, your baby is not going to understand. So it is your job to make sure that you put you first. Like Cookie said, I gotta put me first, Lucius. Okay? Just prioritizing the time that I do get when my baby is asleep. I know that sometimes I can get caught up on my phone and want to scroll, being on social media and whatnot. But honestly, I could be using my time for better use if I were actually getting things done. And I know that they say get rest when the baby gets rest, which is true. I do, but my baby is in that phase where he stay up a little longer throughout the day, and 9 times out of 10, if I'm up, unless I'm really just that tired. So I like to take advantage of having the day. Something that I do feel like I struggle with is once it's time for bed, and those longer stretches of him sleeping, like I said, even throughout the night, sometimes I can just be in bed and on my phone. And that's something that I've already struggled with prior to having my child. So that's something that I just really need to learn, is take advantage of the time that I have to sleep at night so that I can be ahead of the day. I used to get up at one point at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I do have my days where I still wake up at that time, but it's not every day. And because I have his dad there, he will often take the baby in the morning and I will get more rest. And I am asleep until about 1 o'clock in the afternoon sometimes. And then I come down and I try to start my day. But I also like to spend time with my son, and I find myself being in his face. And there are times where his dad has everything under control, but the motherly instinct in me, the motherly habit of mine to take him off his hands, and then now he's my problem because I probably woke him up or am a breastfeeding mom, so he's attached to me and I'm attached to him, and I'm sitting there for the next hour and I can't really do anything with my hands. So some of that is on me, and I'm sure that there are other moms that can relate, especially being a new mom. You're just being pressed for your child, and that's just that. I also feel like having a son is a little bit different for a woman than it is having a daughter, because there's just this different bond that you get, and I'm just so amazed at how he's growing so much. But anyways, those are the top contributors of why my self-care has just been a little different, because of time management and just prioritizing my baby, my household, and wanting everything to be so put together, so perfect. And like I said, it's not intentional. It's just something within me that I have to work on. Another area that I lack in, hydration and eating. It's so much different now for me since I'm not pregnant anymore. My body just responds to me going without eating for a longer period of time way different than it did while I was pregnant. I couldn't just go without eating for hours without feeling like I was gonna pass out. But naturally, my body and my metabolism just work different when I'm not bearing a child. I can get in that space of trying to complete all these tasks. Now, because I did build a habit of eating more often while I was pregnant, I have a better diet than I did before, but there are still moments where I'm like, oh, I need to eat, or oh, I need some more water. I haven't had anything since earlier. I actually have been doing better, but I feel like I could make more improvement even upon what I've already been doing. I actually need to get in there a little bit more because I left my makeup on last night and I really shouldn't have done that. My self-care has not really been neglected. Like I said, that time management, you gotta really be on it. And it's not gonna be perfect, especially when you first come home, because you're getting used to your baby, also your body's healing. So you're not gonna wanna do much but rest. And that's just what it's going to be, because I thought that I could try and do otherwise when I first came home, and that just wasn't the case. I tried to take control of all of that and think that I was going to be superwoman, and it didn't work. Once you actually get the hang of having your baby at home, and both you and your partner or whoever is your support system, or even if it's just you, once you get used to having your baby and knowing their pattern when they go to sleep and whatnot, you can work around that to have better use of your time and being able to prioritize what it is that you feel like is important for you to do for yourself. Gotta really get it in with this explanation, because that's what really helps with my hyperpigmentation. That's another thing. I noticed that while I was pregnant, because I had worked so hard on my skin with my esthetician in the past years, I noticed that my hyperpigmentation came back. But I also had my nights and my days where I was not doing my skincare efficiently. My hyperpigmentation started coming back on the sides of my skin. And I've noticed a huge difference even since coming home with a baby and doing my skincare routine, that they're starting to fade away, like the dark marks and everything, because I've been more persistent and making sure that I'm wearing the SPF, because that is very important. Right now, I'm able to do this while my baby is still with his glammy. He is about to be coming home, so I was very adamant about getting these things done before he comes back. Once he comes back home, I know that it's going to be all about him. I just rather take advantage of the time that I have right now on my hands to get some things done and to care for me, which I've been doing anyway. But we've also been having a little bit of fun, just not having the baby around, being able to have some adult time and quality time as partners, just reconnecting on a level that we're not able to really when he's here, because he's still very, very little and needs a lot of our attention. In between those times where he is not woke and he is asleep, we're doing things that requires attention for ourselves, that is about our individual needs. So we're usually apart during those times until it's time to go to bed. I'm about to take it to the room, in the bed, to make sure I get all of these beads off, the right speed. It can sometimes be a little tricky if you can't really see. I like to use the cotton pads because I'm not getting too wet when I use these. I know some people use like the sponges too, but I like these. I don't know about y'all, but for me, even being a mom, it's still being like that first month phase. I cannot go to bed without taking a shower. That is one thing that my partner and I have not sacrificed. I'm always going to make sure that I take a shower, because although my baby is the center of attention in this house, I just refuse to be walking around here stinking. And of course, going through postpartum and recovering even vaginally, yeah, you got to stay on top of that. There's different things that everything down there is recovering from when it comes to giving birth and just going back to that normal how things used to be. So I stay on top of that. I stay on top of my oral hygiene. It bothers me if I feel a grit on my teeth. I've worked in dentistry for a pretty long time. So even before that, as a kid, as a teenager, oral hygiene is one of my biggest things. I have been blessed to not wake up with morning breath. However, I do not care. I will still get in the bathroom day and night to make sure that those things are in order. Another thing that I'm starting to get better with, but I've struggled with, is getting ready how I want to for the day. When he has to go for his appointment with his pediatrician, normally I come there looking decent, but how I really want to show up as myself and as his mother down to a T, I have not mastered yet, which he actually has an appointment tomorrow morning. So I'm going to strive to make sure that we go to bed on time. Normally he's asleep regardless, but I want to make sure that we are put up, because normally if we're down in the living room, I find myself doing something, trying to complete some other task, or trying to fight my sleep and watch TV with his dad. Right now it's 7:26, so really about 9 o'clock I need to start wrapping it up so that I can get ready for bed. I'm actually already getting ready technically, but when I say I want to be able to get up, feed myself, do my makeup, do my hair, and get the baby ready as well. But when I'm waking up with only 1.5 hours to get ready, it's just not enough time. And then we find ourselves rushing. It's just not ideal for me. A soft life, a soft build is being prepared that night before, getting the proper rest, getting the proper nutrition, being able to flow with ease throughout the day, not feeling like my back is up against the wall. That just drains me. And then I just feel depleted. Any type of spray on my face always gets me. One more time. And of course, I'm using Dermalogica products. Been using them for the last 3 years now. And honestly, they're the GOAT because they got my skin all the way together, honey. Overall, my self-care just means so much to me. I get a different meaning from it than I did before. I honestly understand it from a different perspective, and I set it as a way higher priority now because, like I said, it feels like a luxury at times to even get that moment to myself. I still have to take care of me, right? Like, of course I do. I didn't realize this was not open. Another thing that I feel like now looks so different for me is prayer. I do like to pray, as a family, but I really have one of those personal relationships with God. I like to talk to Him alone a lot. That looks like when I am doing my skincare or I'm in the shower. Sometimes we could just get so caught up in the day to day tasks that I had to remind myself God comes first before anything or anyone. My child, everything that has to do with me is taken care of by the one and only, the God that I serve. He's going to make sure that we're good always. So that relationship is definitely number one, but it can always be room for improvement in that area as well in my life. I've recently added this Medicube serum to my routine as well. It's the PDRN pink peptide serum. It's worked really good to help even my skin texture out and just overall getting me a very good glow. I also invested in a Medicube booster, which you guys are about to see me use. It is a great addition, all of their products that I've gotten to my skincare, and it's really been helpful in just giving me that at home spa kind of feel because child, like I said, I be at home working like a dog. I'm literally my child's personal worker pretty much, other than his dad. He works from home too, and we gotta work as a team. Sincere is not old enough to really just, sit down and not need as much attention as he needs right now. So now he has his moments where he'll be in his little chair swing watching TV with his little feet bundled up in his cover, but that only lasts for so long. And I am the type, my son makes any noise, inch, anything, baby, I'm like, as soon as something happens. So here she is. Here she is. I always feel so excited when I turn this on. Like, this is what it feels like to really become grown, and what they call like big girl toys. Yeah, this is one of those. And it feels so good when I get to do these things for myself. And I love that his dad understands that I need to be able to do me too. We as women have to understand this. The way that we carry ourselves in general is usually what attracts people in the first place to us. When we get in these relationships, these friendships, we have to remember who we were prior. I always have to remind myself of all the good qualities about me prior to becoming a mom, prior to becoming someone's lady. That's what keeps me in that space of being grounded with myself and always taking care of myself, because how dare I forget who I am? And yeah, you're going to have your moments where you do forget, but ultimately, we have to remember how to come back to that and stand firm in who we are and taking care of ourselves. Don't lose yourself, and even if you lose yourself, baby, get back up, okay? And try again. Dust yourself off and try again, honey. Ooh, this feels so good. Oh my gosh. This feels so amazing. The $200 was definitely worth it. Oh, and it literally makes me jump a little bit. They did their big one with this. We have to stand firm in who we are. And it's great to change. It's great to be aware of the changes within ourselves, but just putting you first. I think that's really where I've been getting at all this video is really important. It's so important. That's how you're able to show up as your best self. When I show up for myself during the day, I notice that I have a better attitude. I treat people way better. And that's just something that I've noticed with myself and something that I've been honest with myself about. I know it's always best for me to be able to get that skincare done, eat that nutritious meal, and be hydrated, watch that video that I wanted to watch that poured into me, and say those affirmations, use my foot massager, do my makeup, because I'm always a better version of Amara when I do those things. This feels so good. Like, this is what I mean when I say self-care. Really just having time to yourself, just to do whatever you really want to do. And this is one of the things that I really prioritize. And having good, healthy skin, it makes me feel confident. My son just got home, so I definitely had to go and give him a kiss. But I told his dad, like, babe, I am going back upstairs because I have to finish my skincare and my video. The baby is so handsome, so handsome. Love him so much. I've loved this MC mode. All the modes on here feel so good on my skin. And I feel like too, because I'm always so tense, having some type of stimulation to my muscles, it's like the best feeling ever, because it helps me a lot with my posture, since I'm always holding my baby, and I do have this habit of slouching over when he is on my breast, because I haven't been using a nursing pillow. Even though his dad did get me one, I don't think it was the best nursing pillow, and that just because he wasn't familiar with the kind to get. So I actually have to order one. I'm going to take that one back because that will help so much when it comes to my posture when I'm doing that. I often try to remind myself to sit up straight whenever I'm sitting down. You can even see the change in my posture just now from how I was before, because it's just a habit, a learned habit, and it's not a good one. So, especially being in dentistry, I've learned that ergonomics is a big thing, and your posture can determine how your body feels overall. So that's something that I'm trying to normalize. Also, when I am doing my self-care, something else that I started to pay more attention to, which is why I'm sitting down at my bed and I've been doing this for quite some time now, is not standing up with everything I do. Knowing that I can have a seat at times, and even just being a stay-at-home mom, doing laundry, I'm always moving around and doing something, and I have to remind myself to just sit down. Even when it comes to me doing my skincare, sometimes I can be standing up at the mirror in the bathroom, and it's like, girl, have a seat and do your skincare, rest your body, because are you really relaxing yourself if you're constantly on your feet? Even right now, I'm trying to remain in that I'm just a girl mode, and I don't think there's ever really truly a way to snap out of the mom mode, but I'm trying to leave it to dad right now while he has Sincere downstairs, and just take this time for myself, because it can be so easy to be like, let me go down there and check on him, or I want to hold him, and it's like, girl, he is not going anywhere. Your baby will be there for you to have and hold later on. So take this time while you can and just take care of you. That's why I do appreciate when family is able to help out, but I am obsessed with my baby, so it doesn't make me a difference, but it's just the whole thing of having some more time for yourself and loving on you. At the end of the day, a girl's got to take care of herself. Even right now, with this mode that I'm using, it feels like a literal pulsing massage, and I need that so much, because there's times where I'm just not getting the proper rest that I need. And yes, I might get 8 or 10 hours of sleep, but am I going to sleep when I really need to go to sleep? His dad is making catfish and grits. He made that yesterday. It was so good. I just told him he had to make it again. It was so much better than I did when I first started this video. Once I eat, I'm gonna feel 20 times better. I look amazing. 1 month postpartum wear. Exactly. So until next time, my loves,